Hey, Phil Andrews here with MarchDrumCorps, and today we're going to talk about good practice habits. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple things. The first one is always use your feet in the practice session. And here's why. Drum corps performers are marching musicians first, which means they make music while marching, which means they're always moving to their feet. And all of the notes that we play get played to our feet. So, if we're not practicing putting our hands to our feet in practice, it's either going to cause one of two things. One, your rhythmic accuracy is going to be skewed, as we'll talk about in a second, or we're going to get on the move and you're going to be able to play with your hands and your feet are just going to be walking around like you're in communion lines on Sunday morning. And we don't want that. We don't want that at all. You want to make sure that you are the most prepared person you can possibly be. And the best way to do that is to learn how your hands take place with your feet. And that doesn't mean like you have to stand up and mark time all the time. Like I sit down frequently in my practice sessions and I just pump my heels up and down. So I know where the beat is. Which brings me to my next point. I always put my feet to the metronome. Now in drum corps, 99% of rehearsals are based with a metronome. And it's so that we can understand our source of tempo and begin to internalize it so that when we take it away in shows, we're able to perform said speed without any reference. Now, this is something that you need to practice at home. You need to make sure that you're always putting your feet to a metronome and always using a metronome in your practice. Otherwise, again, our rhythmic accuracy is going to be skewed, and we're not going to be able to understand how the hands and the feet work. So it's super important that we always have a metronome going and our feet always go with the met. Now, this next tip is something that I want to talk about. In drum corps auditions, the best players are separated from the worst players because they just know more vocabulary than you. So look at it this way. And this is a Tim Fairbanks quote. So, if you can read all the words in a book, you're going to be able to read the book with no problems. But if you don't know some of the words, you're going to have to look them up. Likewise, in drumming, phrases are made up of words. And in this case, the words are the 26 rudiments, the hybrid rudiments, whatever they may be. So, if we don't know all of our words, or we don't know all of our rudiments, we're going to have a lot of trouble with the book. So it's important that in your practice you break down all the words. Dissect the words into letters, find the skill sets that make up each rudiment, practice those, make sure those are super successful, and then build those up into rudiments. Rudiments become phrases, and then boom, you got yourself a book that you can play. If you can play anything, you can play everything. Just think about that for a second. My last tip is, while you try to learn anything and everything, it's important that you do what you're doing, but you are mindful of how you're doing it. Because, let me pick up my pad and sticks here. Let's say I want to play paradiddles, and I want to learn how to play paradiddles really fast. I know that I have a downstroke. I know that I have 3 taps that are supposed to be the same height. And I know that in order to get this faster, this is going to feel a little bit more like a roll. However, I always think about the accent being super consistent, always. Because the way you play the double stroke is going to vary based on tempo. I play this at 120 with my feet right now, which I'm about to do. I'm fast, by the way. Compared to 152. I'm always playing downstrokes, but the way I'm playing the double stroke is changing because of the speed. But I know that I always stop the stick after I play an accent with the back of my hand, and I close the back of my hand down and stay relaxed and catch the stick at the 3-inch level so that the double stroke can always stay the same. So it's important that you're always thinking about like how you're doing what you're doing. That's my point. So my takeaways from this are: put your feet to the mat, put your hands to your feet, learn all the things with your hands, and pay attention to how you're doing all the things with your hands. Cool. I hope that these practice tips are super helpful. I know they've helped me out time and time again. For more content like this, stay tuned for the next installment of the March Drum Corps Library. Take care.